Dear students, welcome to CR's digital classes. Today let us learn about correlation versus regression. So it's a first unit concepts. If you remember correlation is the basic for our regression concepts. So let us rewind correlation first, then we'll go for regression topics also. And how it differ with correlation and regression together we'll be learning in this concept. So what is correlation? Last unit we have learned about that. So correlation is a relation between two variables. So whenever you want to know the relationship between some two variables or three variables together, we'll go for correlation concept, right? So here next level of correlation, like correlation hardly will be knowing whether they are related or not, and if they are related, how they are related. Positive, negative, two types we have. Positive, if one variable goes in increasing order, the other variable also goes in increasing order. So if both the variables goes in same direction, that we call as correlation coefficient, isn't it? So here what is the regression then? So if you want to learn regression, correlation next step, like correlation just now we discussed, like if both the variables are going in the same direction, we'll call it positive. If they go in negative opposite direction, we'll call it as negative correlation. That's all we'll learn from the correlation concepts. But when it comes to regression, what we do is we'll find out the average here based on the two variables. How one variable is influenced by the other variable, that also will be learning. Means the relationship to the next level. Like in correlation, just they are related, how they are related, that's it. Now in regression, how they are related, in which way they are related, in deep will be learning. So correlation, regression both are related to each other. For that we are learning differences also here. So how it goes on, let us learn to the different points here. So first point we have meaning. Yes, meaning in the sense the definition what we discussed just now, correlation and regression definition. Correlation, yes, relation between two variables or more than two variables is your correlation. That's what here they have mentioned. Check it out. Then regression, here we have regression is nothing but again we'll take the same variables, but we'll go for a step back and we'll try to get the average out of both the dependent and independent variables. That we have discussed in regression, introduction to regression concept. Rewind that one, it will be very clear how regression concepts will go on. So that is your first point. Just to generally give definition over there, it's enough for us. Next, second one is nature. We have nature in the sense how it works. So what the point here we have, it is a measure of the degree and the direction of relationship between the variables. Just now we discussed, right? Positive correlation, negative correlation, how it differs, how the direction goes on, we'll be learning under correlation. Now the nature of regression, let us check it out. It studies nature of relationship between the variables. In the sense here, how one variable influences the other variable will be learning, right? So that's what is a nature, how both are related will be learning in this. That's what they have given. Nature is how the relationship exists will be learning. So that is your second point. Next, third point is cause and effect relationship. So how it will cause and affect both the variables will be learning. So first, in correlation, it does not indicate the cause and effect relationship between the variables. In the sense, yes, obviously we'll check it out in which direction they will range, but we'll never check how one to one they got influence, whether they have positive, negative in one or another, how one is impacting the other will not learn here. Just relation is there or not, we'll check it out. For that we have given the point is it does not impact. Yes, it does not impact any cause and effect here. But definitely in regression, we'll be going for regression to know that cause and effect itself. So definitely we can learn here how one variable influence the other variable. So cause and effect will be definitely there in regression analysis. Okay. Next point, fourth point, variables. How the variables will go on, we'll be learning here. So what they have given here, it does not describe which variable is the dependent variable and which is independent variable. Yes, just directions we can know, but we don't know which one becomes an independent, which one becomes a dependent variable. Just we have two variables, we'll try to get the relation out of it, that's it. So here in regression analysis, variables, yes, so definitely we'll come to know which is independent variable and which is dependent variable. That cleanly you can learn in definition and definitions of independent and dependent variables, how the variables will go on. So in regression analysis, definitely we'll come to know about the dependent and independent variables. Next, fifth point what we have here, relative and absolute measures. So how it gives the relative and absolute measures, let us learn. In correlation first, its coefficient are relative measures of the linear relationship. Yes, its coefficients, definitely we have coefficients in regression as well as correlation. So when it comes to correlation coefficients are relative measures of the linear relations. So linear relationship will come here, will get here in correlations. Now let us go for regression. Its coefficients are absolute measures indicating the change in the value of one variable for a unit change in the value of the other variable. These are regression coefficients are absolute measures. In the sense you will be getting proper values here. So that is your regression point here. Next, sixth point, prediction we have. So whether we can predict our data or not, we'll be learning here. So first, correlation, it cannot be used for predicting or estimating value. Yes, in correlation we cannot predict further future values, or we cannot find using one variable the other variable, we cannot estimate, we cannot find it. But that can be done through regression. Check it out, in regression we have that. So actually we'll go for regression especially to find out the future values or to estimate the other variable which is dependent. To obtain that we'll go for regression. So obviously here prediction is possible. So it is very helpful in predicting and estimating value of one variable given the value of the another variable. One variable will be available for us, using that we'll be obtaining the other variable. So that's what is your prediction point. Next, seventh point, we have coefficients. Yes, just now we discussed coefficients will be there for both correlation as well as regression. How they'll be implementing here, let us check it out. So its coefficients are symmetric. So here symmetric property holds good for correlation, that is Ryx is equal to Rxy. Okay, both are equal. So whenever we'll go for correlation, those coefficients are equal, we are telling. That's what is your symmetric property. Whenever we'll go for coefficients and we'll compare it, both will satisfy, they'll be equal. So that's property we'll call as symmetric property. Now let us check it out for regression. In regression coefficients, regression coefficients are asymmetric, means those are not equal. Take coefficient of regression coefficients, both Byx is never equal to Bxy. So that is not equal to. So that whenever coefficients are not equal, we'll call it as asymmetric property. So here it does not satisfy. So next relationship, eighth point we have relationship. How the relationship goes on, let us check it out here. Its coefficient can be calculated from regression coefficients. So what they are telling here, coefficients, correlation coefficients can be calculated from regression. So regression is the next level of correlation, right? So obviously using regression you can identify our correlations. So that's what the point they have specified here. Definitely we can get correlations from the regressions. But when coming to regression point, its coefficients cannot be directly compared from correlation coefficients. So if only correlation coefficients are there, we want to identify regression coefficients out of that, it is not possible for regression coefficients. Okay, that's what is our point here. Next, ninth point, we have range and limit. So every correlations, regressions, always we have limits over there. So that's the point they have specified here. So the correlation range is -1 to 1. That we have learned earlier, means whenever we'll find out correlations, it ranges always in -0.2 to positive 0 points. Never above +1, never below -1. So in between values we'll get. That's what is a limit for us. So here similarly for regressions we have the range of b, and b is not restricted. So in the sense coefficients are not restricted here. It is there is no rule that in between so and so values it will fall, not like that. Any value you can obtain. That's what, no restrictions here. So last point, drawbacks we have. 10th point, drawbacks. What are the drawbacks? Let us check it out for correlation. There may be inaccurate correlation between variables due to chance. Means by chance wrong information, or sometimes what happens, we cannot justify how they are ranging. So correlation, how it goes exactly, we can't identify. So that is one of the drawback for correlation. For regression, there is no such a thing in regression. Regression, whatever the available information we have, will be utilizing, we'll try to find out our answers. So incorrect and all is not restricted here. So that's what is your differences between correlation and regression. You may expect for long type or some of the points like 2-3 points for short type. So definitely go for it. Correlation versus regression is an important question from the first unit. Hope you have understood all the points, all 10 different points. Based on the question you can proceed with that. So short type, some points you can include. Long type, definitely all the points you have to consider. So hope you have understood this concept of correlation and versus regression. See you all in the next session. Thank you.